Growing up in Asian households, you kind of know the beauty standards we're intended to follow, which are to be ultra skinny, super like kind of white passing in some way. That's like the standard. And I just felt like if we just had to follow these standards, then we just won't look like ourselves. And I was just tired of hearing things like, oh, you're so pretty for an Asian girl. It's just like, what is that even supposed to mean?
Welcome to the Nicholas Natali Show. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome Shannon Hui, a trailblazer in the world of modeling and a voice for representation. From breaking into the industry unrepresented and working with top brands like Nike and Puma to championing diversity and embracing her identity, Shannon's story is a testament to the power of perseverance and faith. Riddle of the week, why can't a leopard hide? Find out at the end of the episode. Let's get started. Hello and welcome. This is the Nicholas Natali Show. I'm your host, Nicholas Natali. Today we have a very special guest, Shannon, in the building, in the flesh.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. We have some hard-hitting questions for you today.
I'm nervous.
Don't be nervous. Let me hype you up, actually. Let's hype you up. You've worked with Glossier.
Uh-huh.
You've worked with Nike.
Oh my God.
Lady Foot Locker. Puma.
Yeah.
Steve Madden.
Mm-hmm.
Hype Bay.
Okay.
Adidas. I mean, the list goes on. So what's up with that? How do you find these opportunities? How do these opportunities come to life? I can ask you maybe a more specific question too, if you'd like, but let's start there.
I think genuinely when I started my path about 5 years ago, I realized that there were not many Asian Americans in the industry. And I was working on the agency side. So I was the person kind of handing out these campaigns. And then I just realized that there were stories about culture that I wanted to tell. And there were faces that I wanted to see that I wasn't seeing. And so I decided to quit that job, which is really scary, by the way.
Yeah.
Don't quit your job unless you have a little bit of a safety net, okay?
You had no safety net?
I had no safety net, and that was terrifying. But in a way, it was good because it forced me to take initiative and go after projects that I guess normally would scare people or myself even. And so through the relationships I cultivated in my time in New York City, going out to networking events and just meeting people and telling them my story of why this was important to me, why representation is important, why culture is important. A lot of people took a chance on me, and I'm really glad that they did because it was kind of the beginning to everything.
Yeah,
so.
That's amazing. I read that you were Mulan twice for Halloween growing up.
Yes, there aren't many characters you can be being an Asian American woman. We have Lucy Liu and Mulan. So, you know, that's kind of why it's important.
And you're on track to change the game.
You know, I'd love to see more. I think the past few years we got movies like Crazy Rich Asians but there's really not much else, you know? So I think I'd love to see more Asian representation in the media. I think it's important. And I think our stories on culture and community should be told, values, morals, things like that.
Yeah.
So.
That all makes sense to me. Other one that comes to mind is Simu Liu.
Okay, yeah, he's incredible.
He's blown up.
Yeah,
My
for
goodness.
sure. And I love to see that. I love to see Asian actors and actresses or any actually POC actors and actresses because I just think if you don't tell stories of these people's cultures, then what you are reduced to is a stereotype.
Yeah.
And you just don't want to exist in that box. You know, we're just humans at the end of the day with our own complex lives and just stories passed on from generation to generation. So
yeah,
I'd like those to be told.
Well, let's talk about family. Speaking of generations, here's what I know. Your mom's an immigrant, correct? And it's a single mother household. And here's also what I know. Your grandfather was really invested in you and was like, I see you in the arts. I see how happy you are. Go for those. I want to also talk about maybe some of the pressures alongside of being in a Chinese immigrant household to be like, take the safe route.
Yeah.
Like, look what I've done. I need you to, you know, keep it going.
For sure.
Talk to me about the pressure and then also maybe your grandpa's influence.
You know, I think coming from an immigrant household, your parents, your grandparents, your family, they just love you. And for them, that looks like security because when they came here, they weren't allowed to dream. They just had to survive. And so when they come here and they have children, they want you to be able to live well and just be well educated. And also, if you think about the struggles they endured, you know, my grandparents and my mom had trouble speaking English. So that was really difficult for them when they came here. And my mom ended up going to work in computer sales, and she did really well for herself, which was an amazing thing because my grandparents came and my grandpa was washing dishes and my grandma was sleeping on staircases at some points when they just like didn't have money. So we saw sunrise for dinner.
Yeah.
And so I think, you know, I'm just so blessed to have family that really risked it all so that I could dream and thrive and not just survive. So I do have to break out of the status quo of wanting or their desire for me to be safe. You know, I love them, but I want my kids to thrive and be able to run after the things that they're dreaming about. And it's a privilege for me to say that I can do that in this lifetime.
Yeah.
And it's because of them. So, yeah.
Was there conflict or pushback? Because in most cases, like people with a good relationship with their parents like want to make them happy to some degree. And this is counter-cultural and counter to what they're wanting. So what was the pushback like?
You know, I think to be honest, I think there always is a bit of pushback if there's any element of me being unsafe in any way. I think my parents I have a stepdad now too, but I think they're kind of getting equated to the fact that I'm going to be a full-time creative for my entire life. Yeah. And I mean, it's important when they see my photo up on Times Square or my little cousin is now pursuing modeling and creative industry work. That's why, right? It's not for me. It's not for my own glory, right? It's for everybody else who gets to see a face and they're like, you know what? It's possible. I can do it. There's someone in my family doing it. It really means so much to me because I remember the first time when I came into LA after my photo was in the store, one of the workers came up to me and she was like, you know, it was the first time I saw like an Asian girl. And it just made me think that like I could do it too. Yeah. And I connected her with someone that was shooting. And so she has done her own campaigns with them now too. So it's things like that that really make it worth it. There's really no other reason why it's important other than the people it impacts. So
man, that's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, way to be pursuing this and trailblazing the path. Let's keep in line with this childhood maybe time. Here's also what I know, Shannon, and tell me if this is true.
Okay.
Growing up, you had buck teeth and a unibrow, and let's see what I got here.
Please do not show this photo.
You hated your outer appearance.
Yeah.
But I guess my question is like, at some point you flipped that. And I feel like that's more of a mental shift than it is probably physical.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be both, you know, puberty is a real thing, but tell me about the mental side of like switching from hating your appearance to being like, hey, I'm going to go on a photo shoot and be the face of this campaign. Like those are two different types of confidence.
Dang. Well, there's so much to say here. I think growing up in Asian households, if those of you who are listening understand what that's like, you kind of know the beauty standards we're intended to follow, which are to be ultra skinny, super like kind of white passing in some way. That's like the standard. And I just felt like if we just had to follow these standards, then we just won't look like ourselves. Yeah. And I don't know, I think over time, I just began to love my own features and I really wanted to show them off. And it's okay. And I was just tired of hearing things like, oh, you're so pretty for an Asian girl.
Interesting.
It's just like, what is that even supposed to mean? Yeah. I think through that and retraining my brain through affirmations as well. I think when you have been spoken to with a lot of death over your life, it just is a bit different and you have to kind of train yourself to speak life over yourself. So, yeah.
You were your own advocate in that way.
In some senses, yeah. I mean, there's those studies about plants that grow better when you speak nicely to them, water that freezes more symmetrically, rice that doesn't mold as fast. Power of life and death is in the tongue. So it's real. Wow.
I love that. This reminds me of, I had an episode a really long time ago. It was like during the BLM movement. I had Dr. Reggie Thomas on the show. And he said a very similar sentence that you said. He said, my wife used to always get, you're very beautiful for a Black woman. That is interesting phrasing that happens. Have you seen a shift in that as time goes on?
I think there are some times where I experience that. And I think my lens of viewing it is different. I think when I was younger, I used to be more offended, whereas now I kind of assess a situation, like where is this person from, right? Like who have they grown up around? And if it's a pretty like not Asian community, then
Yeah.
in their eyes, they genuinely mean it as a compliment. Now, how it comes out might not actually be that to me, because I grew up in New York City. It's a melting pot, and you should watch what you say.
Yeah.
But I just try to understand it and then educate them through my own experience of it. So I'll be like, hey, you know, like that makes me feel kind of alienated, or that kind of makes me feel like you don't see me as just like a person, like I'm an Asian person only, you know?
Yeah.
And I think when I have those dialogues, there's actually more impact than if I just cancel people.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Have you been known to cancel people? This is like a hobby of yours?
For sure. In the past, honestly, I'm still working on it. Sometimes offense can get the best of us as humans, but I'm trying my best not to. I think I've been asking God to really soften my heart and be more compassionate towards people most would deem as monsters or bullies or anything like that. And I'm learning how to pray for them more and war for them more, and have more compassion and understanding that like people who hurt you are just hurt people. I'm not the best at it. I'm still struggling with it. There's a few people I still have to forgive, to be honest. But I'm working on it.
Nice. I feel like I have to watch my tongue now. You might, after this podcast, straight to the internet. Hey, Nick here. Hope you're enjoying the episode. I have a little surprise for you. I'm starting a free newsletter where I give away all my insights on podcasting, finance, entrepreneurship, and more. Click the link in the show notes and I'll send you a fresh batch of tips straight to your email each week. Easy enough, right? All right, back to the episode. One of the things that I read that you have said is a lot of people were talking about maybe the competitive nature of the modeling market, and specifically America's modeling market. How did you handle the haters? And who were they? Who were these people that were like not encouraging or believing the vision?
I think honestly, a huge part of me being able to do what I do is just not allowing those voices to get into me at all. Or if I kind of experience it in any capacity, I'm very quick to like shut down or like shut it down and kind of move on to the next thing. I think people's hate or competitive view on you is a direct reflection of who they are. And has nothing to do with me per se. And I just grew up with so much adversity. Like if the most you can do is hate on me or what I do, like great. Like walk through some really real things. I don't think that's really going to faze me at this point in my life. So I do my best to surround myself with people who are lights, who just speak encouragement into me and really believe in what I'm doing as I do for them. And I think that really helps me a lot on my journey.
Dope. I'm with you. You got to surround yourself with people that are building you up. 100%. Let's switch to the modeling side of things. I guess we've been talking around modeling in a way. I had somebody on, his name's Nathan McCallum, and he is fitness. He wouldn't like the word influencer, but he's a fitness influencer. Like he's shredded, has a great physique, yada, yada, yada. And we talked about, there was a point in his life where he felt the pressure of like maintaining a very specific image. And he's like, I felt like I had to have the 6-pack abs like all the time. Like I had to be like as ripped as I could all the time. And it was like affecting his personal life. How much have you seen or experienced maybe like image driven decisions because you are your brand?
Honestly, I think I got really lucky with that in the sense of I enjoy influencer creator work more than I do modeling. I think oftentimes models just kind of have to be, in my own experience, right? Like I felt like a hanger. My own expression didn't matter. I couldn't have my nails done, my eyelashes done, teeth gems, like makeup on. I just have to be a blank canvas for whoever's dressing me. Whereas creator work, I'm allowed to be as expressive as I want to be. And so I really enjoy it. But there was a point in time during COVID where I gained 75 pounds because I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism. And I had hyperthyroidism in college, and I was kind of bouncing back and forth. And in college, I lost like 20 pounds. And in COVID, I gained 75 pounds. So my image drastically changed. And not to say that it looked bad or anything like that, but it was just very different from what I was used to because I've been small my whole life. So
gotta look like your headshots.
You're supposed to look like your headshots. But you know what? I think a lot of work in New York is simply through relationship and just people who genuinely know that you're good at what you do and you believe in what you do and like you live it, right? And so I still book jobs, even though I looked different than my headshot per se. And, you know, in the last year or so, I've healed myself. So I've lost it all and I'm no longer on medication.
How did you, please tell me how you did that.
I prayed through a lot of it. And then also, I think faith without works is dead. So I had faith that I would be healed, and my works looked like being a Pilates princess, getting to the gym every single day. Even if I could only do it in the beginning for like 5 minutes every single day, I would do my 5 minutes. And then I cut out several foods like seed oils. I don't do vegetable oils. I don't do chemicals. I don't do preservatives. I have cheat days every once in a while, but I was watching this podcast yesterday with Dr. Daniel Amen, and he was just saying like, love things that love you back. So he was saying how drinking alcohol is like being in an abusive relationship because it literally does nothing for you except deteriorate your body. Yeah. So every time you choose to go to it for a comfort, it actually hurts you. Yeah. And he was like, if you start to think of foods and things like that, oh my gosh, your face. What? You're just like, dang, I have to think of it like that. Yeah. I'm sorry. Because once I say it, you have to think about it. But yeah, love foods that love you back, love things that love you back in terms of activities. You just don't want to keep hurting yourself or your body. It's a machine that works for you. And so if you want it to run correctly, you have to give it the right
proper fuel. Yeah. Man, that makes sense. The abusive relationship is so funny for alcohol. That's tough, right? That's so funny.
Yeah.
I haven't drank this year, so I do feel a lot better having not done that. I think that's true. Not to get too off topic here.
Yeah.
But what I'm finding, I took 3 months off at the top of the year, no coffee. And that was helpful. And now I'm back on it. And I just don't know. Do you think that's an abusive relationship that I need to cut out? Because I love coffee.
It just depends. I know Andrew Huberman has this certain amount of time in a day where you should drink your coffee. I think it's like 90 minutes after you wake up, but like nothing after 1 p.m. because
don't be doing that.
It has like half-lives or something like that. And you can't quote me on this one because it might be like loosely correct.
Yeah.
But
I'll quote you.
Yeah. I mean, maybe if it's within that time frame, it's better. But ultimately, if it affects your sleep, which is like our ultimate restoration process that's good for our body and our hearts, disease, mind, everything. Hard to say. It just depends on how it affects you.
Yeah.
But I do recommend matcha over coffee.
I tried.
Always.
When I was giving up coffee, I tried matcha. It's just so bitter. And nobody warned me. Everybody was like, this is like a really great drink. And I was excited, and I just love sweet stuff. So
you can just do it with honey, matcha, honey, and in milk, M-A-L-K.
M-A-L-K? That's different than
It's
milk?
different because
what is milk?
Okay. Plant-based milks are actually terrible for you. They're full of preservatives, chemicals, seed oils. It will leave you bloated immediately after you drink it, tired and lethargic. And so milk was a plant-based milk, but it is operated differently, meaning it only has like almonds, water, and salt or something like that. And so it goes much better in your system.
Interesting.
So
how do we feel about raw milk? You
I
slamming
have
raw milk?
not had it. I don't do so good with dairy, but
teach their own.
Yeah.
I got you. Okay. I'll move on from this coffee stuff because I will talk about that for a long time. I have a deep cut, or I have an entertainment industry question. Your choice. We'll play which is which, you know?
What does a deep cut mean?
A deep cut is like, I found a little fact about you from a long time ago.
Okay.
That's what we're going for.
I'm intrigued. Yeah.
All right. So in 2021, your therapist asked you, who are you? What is something that makes you you? What would your answer be to that today?
Well, my answer then was, I am someone who loves. And I think my answer to that would still remain, I am someone who loves.
Interesting.
Anything or everything I do does not matter if I'm not someone who loves. Loves in the sense of I run around every day and I notice all the tiniest little details. And I'm grateful and I love those moments and receiving love from God in those moments. And I'm grateful because I get to experience those little things, whether that's a hummingbird or a butterfly or the way the sun sets on the ocean. In that moment, I am receiving God's love and I'm so filled that I can go out and love other people. For example, yesterday, I was just walking from an appointment somewhere and there was a woman who came up to me and asked me for money for food. And I gave her some money, but really it wasn't that made her feel loved. She was like, hey, I'm so sorry to be bothering you or wasting your time. And I kind of just turned around and I was like, hey, like, you're not wasting my time. I'm happy to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're not a waste of time. You know, like, I'm just here with you,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and whether it's just 2 seconds of humanity and looking someone in the eye and regarding them as human, making people feel loved in that way is simply my purpose. And
Yeah.
there's nothing outside of that. Like, my work, my accolades don't really matter if I'm not in the world doing things like that.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer on there's no such thing as a neutral interaction. It's like either positive or negative. So I think that's a great example of being like, yeah, I'm going to take this moment. And I think that's true too, of like, we have a lot of moments in passing with people. And it's like, we have the choice to either take them in or just like let them be passing moments. And it's like, that's a pretty passive way to live.
Well, if I believe that God has my greatest good in mind, and he plans my life for me, then every person I pass by is not meant to just be someone I pass by.
Yeah.
And so whether I have a 5-second interaction with them or I have a 3-hour interaction with them, something in that moment has to leave them feeling loved even 1% more than before they met me. So whether that's a smile exchange or whether that's like, hey, I really like what you're wearing today, or whether that's a full-on deep conversation with a stranger over how, you know, they're not worth less because their boyfriend broke up with them, right?
Yeah.
And that's happened before.
With strangers?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, if I feel guided to someone, I feel like God put something on my heart for them, I will go up to them and speak to them.
Please give me an example. Give me, lay that one on me.
Okay. Well, I went to a coffee shop in Orange County and it's called Milk and Honey.
Milk and Honey?
Milk and Honey. And there was this couple, and that morning I was getting dressed. I just felt the Holy Spirit say, hey, you have to put on these boots. And I'm like, please, it does not match with my outfit. I do not want to put on these boots. And I just felt like I still had to wear the boots. And I was like, all right. And I told my roommate before I left, and I was like, Holy Spirit told me to wear these boots today. They really don't match my outfit. I don't know why. Just so you know, in advance.
This isn't me.
This isn't me. Okay. And so I went to the coffee shop. I felt something already as soon as I walked in. And then the woman said something about my boots. And then I was like, here we go. Yeah. So I went to the restroom and I was like, okay, God, like, just kind of download, like, what is it you want me to say?
Yeah.
I had known things about them, like it was their second relationship. They had gotten married previously before, that they were feeling a lot of church hurt, that they were going through some stuff together, that they were just like looking for a new place to belong to, but just feeling really judged by where they're from, and a whole bunch of other details that I won't disclose because it's really personal.
Yeah. You got that before the conversation.
Yeah, I downloaded this before the conversation, and I came out and I kind of like looked at my roommate, and she knows that I do this sometimes. So she was like, all right. Yeah. So I sat down with them and we just had a whole conversation about it. And I just said, hey, like, I don't know if you guys believe in God. And they were like, we do. We actually are looking for a church. And I was like, I knew that. And then I kind of had to just deliver the message. But the whole heart of the message is that, like, there is a God that knows you so deeply and intentionally and so clearly that he would send a complete stranger from God knows where, to know these innate details about you, to share it with you, just to simply be like, and this is how well I know you and love you. And that was the whole point of it. And then they're crying, I'm crying in the coffee shop. It's the whole thing. My roommate's sitting there. She's encouraging them as well. And it was just a whole process, but it just keeps confirming to me that supernatural is really real.
Man, that's so powerful. This has been a topic of conversation in my life, so that's why I'm interested in hearing it. When you say download, or even like, I'm hesitant to use the word like hearing, or like hearing the Holy Spirit move you. What does that look like? How does that, because you mentioned a nudging, but then a download, those were probably different in experience, you know?
Yeah.
What are they like?
I think it's different for everyone, but I think for me, like, I hear a voice. If I feel that in my spirit that I feel drawn to something and I can't like not do it. Otherwise I feel like it'll be disobedient. Like there's just something in my spirit that's like, you have to go talk to this person. And I know that if it sounds like God and it is biblical, and that's kind of like how I run through my thoughts, because you do have to take every thought captive. Otherwise you're working for another party. If I feel that, then I kind of like take a moment of quiet and I'm like, all right, God, like if you want me to do this, it has to be you. I'm not gonna use my own strength. You have to download what you're thinking into me, or what you want me to say, and I'll do it. Like I'll be used, right? Yeah. But I don't want to do this in my own strength because I will get it wrong. Yeah. And that helps take the pressure off, honestly, to know that it isn't from me. And that way, even if I go out there and I deliver what I need to deliver. How they take it is how they take it. But obviously, prophetic word and encouragement is just always supposed to be encouraging and uplifting. It's not supposed to hurt anybody.
Yeah.
So I think you have to also be really mindful of that and careful what you take in and give out.
Yeah. Wow. That's great. I'm so happy that you have those experiences, and it seems like it's part of your spiritual gifts as well. It's in line with it.
I'm hesitant to say that because it comes with a big responsibility.
Yeah.
But I think in my mind, the way I just try to think of it is I just want to be used. So
it's staying open to doing it. I dig it. Let's switch gears here again. I want to know if you think this is true. In the entertainment industry, and it could be modeling, could be influencing anything in the creative world. We've heard the phrase like they have the it factor. Do you think that's a true thing? Do you think certain people have it factors and other people don't?
I think for sure.
Oh, what does it look like?
I just think it looks like the ability to connect with humans.
Interesting.
For me personally, that is my own perception of it. I think I've gone to a lot of events where I've met people who are super famous, right? But they just kind of stay to themselves the whole time, and everyone's like asking them for pictures, but they aren't connecting with anyone.
Yeah.
Whereas there's this person that just walks into the room and everyone is transfixed by them. It's their energy, it's their charisma, it's the way they speak, it's the way they carry themselves, it's the way they look you in the eye and make you feel seen or heard or valued. And their energy is also excited, and they're just full of life. And I know for me, the people I know that carry this the most are people who have God in them, and they just are able to just love so freely because they are loved first.
Yeah.
But, I've seen a lot of people have that kind of it factor, and it's always exciting to meet them because it just seems like they are so excited about life in general. So, yeah.
Do you have a specific person that comes to mind? Maybe like a well-known someone that we might know?
A specific person? I don't think I do, honestly. I just know
They're
it.
out there.
I know it when I meet them, but I don't really,
I think the it factor is real too.
Yeah.
I think some people just get it. And it's not like a learning curve thing. It's just like the way they do things seems smoother for them. And I feel like it's contextual too. Like I'm thinking like maybe like a stand-up comedian. Like when they get into it, they're comfortable on stage already from like right out of the gate, or they have funny quirks about them that make it. I mean, I guess maybe I'm talking about like people's natural abilities that are a good fit, but I do think there's people that are just like, you're in the right spot.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I think some people are born with it, but I think it can really be learned by taking things like public speaking classes, or just watching your motions in the mirror, or speaking a little bit slowly so that you are not tripping over your words, things like that. And making sure you're making eye contact with people.
Yeah.
Things like that. Just all really helps.
Did you take a public speaking class?
I did.
Did you really? Toastmasters? What did you take?
I took it in college.
No way. How was it? What did you have to talk about?
My favorite part was giving a eulogy.
Whoa.
To give a eulogy in front of everyone.
Dang. Was it emotional?
Yeah. I mean, I wrote it about my best friend who I love so much.
Man.
So of course it was emotional, but I think delivering something as intimate as that to a group of people really trains you to kind of just have the light, fluffy stuff
on lock.
Yeah.
Yeah. Easy peasy. Dang. I've always wanted to do Toastmasters. I heard it's like they give you a prompting, or they give you a topic like 5 minutes before you go up, and it's just like, you have to talk about this. Good luck.
Do you want to do a 15-second eulogy?
Right now?
Yeah.
Thank you all for coming here. This is very important in my life, and snacks are in the other room.
Amazing.
Boom. 15-second eulogy.
What kind of snacks?
I was thinking maybe finger foods, like some little finger sandwiches.
Like charcuterie board.
Yeah, charcuterie board.
Sidebar, I do think funerals should be a celebration.
Oh, there should be a DJ.
I think you should just go and celebrate someone's life rather than sitting there and just everyone having to
be bummed,
put on like a mask of sadness. Because obviously you're sad in your heart, right? But then if you don't appear sad, it's kind of like frowned upon.
Yeah, that's true.
And then you have to sit there and like hold this pretend face, rather than if you just went around and told stories about this person's life or how they've impacted you or why you love them so much. And everyone just shares parts of them. You know, it's actually way more intimate and also a connective experience. And you probably go home feeling way more healed. And then you go dance it off. Like, I want my funeral to be a dance party.
I was going to say, it sounds like you planned this out.
Yeah,
already.
I told my best friend if she cries, she has to get out of my funeral.
Whoa.
Yeah, she has to.
It's kind of like a wedding party.
She has to handle the party.
The funeral party. She's out. Man. I want mine to be a Viking's death, where they put you in a boat and set it on fire and push it into the ocean. I think that's
What?
the best way to go.
A Viking's death?
Yeah.
Okay, what kind of boat?
Like those big wooden, like, I'm thinking old timey. It has to be able to burn completely,
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, is there a eulogy?
Someone's probably going to be saying something, right?
So is it on a beach?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking it was just like release the boat from the dock and
Okay.
the waves just kind of take it.
Okay.
That's just kind of what I envisioned.
Okay.
But a beach probably would suffice, yeah.
I mean, like, yeah, they probably would have to like give the speeches on the beach and then just...
I don't want a little one though. Like, don't do a kayak. Don't do a rowboat.
I was going to say, I was like, that's kind of embarrassing if you go out on a rowboat, huh?
Yeah, that's like, ooh, it's like almost disrespectful.
Just a little bit.
Yeah,
like there's not even sails on it.
Yeah, like I'm talking sails. It has to have the skull and crossbones. Like it's got to be.
But then functionality wise, you're just going to buy a boat to burn it.
Hell yeah. Yeah. If you know the cost of like a casket, you could definitely buy a boat.
Okay. Yeah.
If you got a casket fund, you should turn that into a boat fund.
I think it's crazy that caskets cost that much.
It's a lot.
Like you're dealing with someone dying and then you have to be like, I have to pay this amount on top of it. The industry is just does not care about humanity at all.
I think most of the time it's the person who passed sets aside the money for their own funeral.
But it's like, is this not like free land?
I get what you're saying.
Like
home of the brave kind of deal. I met somebody that's in that business and it's, I don't know. Wouldn't be my occupation of choice.
I have thoughts about people who profit off other people's death, but
different thoughts.
I have thoughts.
Okay.
I don't like it. I don't think it attributes to humanity very well, but
we could take this a lot of directions.
I know.
Shannon.
I know.
We're about to spiral right
I'm
here.
like, what could I say?
Well, let me just bring it back.
Just bring it back.
What's up? You worked with Nick Cannon the other day.
That was really fun. He is so quick on his feet, and obviously he's had so much experience, but it's really, really cool. Yeah, we filmed the skit. I had to play a jealous girlfriend.
Oh, you're
I'm just
for real. Really?
I'm just kidding. No, I had to play a jealous girlfriend, and it was fun because I'm not into acting, or I haven't done too much of it. I've taken some classes in college, but my friend Stro, he's an amazing director, producer, and he puts me on all these projects, and he's one of those people that really just loves to help others and put them on. And I think we had a really good conversation one day when we were building customized sneakers together. And he, I guess, just kind of believed in what I had to say and has offered me projects on projects. But again, everything through relationships. So, yeah.
Let's talk about that. What's your networking strategy?
I don't have a networking strategy.
How are you meeting these folks? Yeah.
I think it's just everywhere I go, I actually never ask people what they do. That's like
That's your credo?
Yeah, usually I just don't ask people what they do because usually what people do for work isn't what they're passionate about. So when I walk up to someone and I want to have a conversation, I'm usually like, what are the things you're passionate about? What are your hobbies? Is there anything new you're learning lately? What are the last podcasts you watch? I want to add value to them. I want to listen to them. But really my main focus is like, how can I, through my life experience, add value to you and what you're going through in this time period, right?
Yeah.
And so I never think of what they can do for me. And I've met all these amazing, incredible people, which I find out they are after the fact, after we've already built a friendship. And I'm sending them like, hey, like little encouragement notes from our conversation. And then they're like, hey, I do this really cool thing. I am actually super plugged in and I'm going to put you on to one of these things. And I'm like, this
is great.
Yeah. And I think that's been my networking process. It's just about people, not about jobs, So
I like that. Seeing people for who they are instead of what they do.
Yeah. But I am learning about the superficiality part of it, that it has to matter. I think in a place like New York, numbers don't really matter. It's all about people, presence, and relationship. But in LA, for you to book anything, they have to look at your follower count, which is so stupid because you can buy followers anywhere.
Yeah.
And if you actually took the time to look at the list of brands people have worked with, then you would actually be more inclined to work with people who've had the experience. But instead, they just look at the numbers.
Yeah.
So I am learning the middle ground of that.
How do you play that game? What's it look like to play the game?
Still learning.
Okay.
But my friend Shiro has kind of just been like, hey, when I put you in a room with people, like you have to actively go out and network and talk about things that you want to create with these people. And it can't just be about like who they are. You have to talk about what you're creating as well.
Yeah.
And so personally, it's like an internal dilemma, but I'm understanding as well that if I want to build a platform, that is kind of part of the process. And if I believe my message is important enough to be shared and meant to have impact or value, then there has to be an audience for it to go to.
True.
So not my favorite thing, but I'm learning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All we can do. I've been learning something adjacent. Not similar, but adjacent. I've been having these meetings, business meetings, big business meetings, suit and tie kind of meetings. That's not true. But what I've noticed that other entrepreneurs do better than what I do is they can articulate what they've accomplished in the past very well. And I never talk about my past acclimates or accomplishments. And it's always in the introduction. So they'll be like, hey, I'm so-and-so. I've done this, and this. And then there's like this level of respect that comes to them in the meeting. I can tell that people are like, oh, okay, this guy
has some stuff.
This.
Yeah.
And what I was doing previously was be like, what's up, Nick? I got a podcast. Great to be here. Like very, very like short and sweet. But,
are you ready?
Oh, I'm not doing an intro now.
I want to hear it.
No, not a chance. But I have done it in probably like 2 or 3 meetings since, like picking up on that. And I feel like it's made a difference.
Can I hear it? I really want to hear it.
Maybe offline.
Okay.
I'll tell you my offline intro.
Okay.
That was a lesson I learned that feels, and I bring that up because I think it felt superficial to me to be like,
here are the things I've done.
Yeah, you don't need to know, you don't need to know this stuff. Come on. We're in the same room. You got to know. But it's like, sometimes you got to let people know. You got to let them know what's up.
Learning that. Yeah. Learning that.
All right, Shan, you've made it to the final question of the podcast. I know, it's a pretty big deal. Before we do, I want to acknowledge you for all that you're doing and your persistence in your pursuit for people and adding value to them, loving them where they're at, being willing to, I think it takes a sense of bravery and vulnerability to stop someone on the street and tell them, a sweet and encouraging word. So appreciate all that you do.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for having me on here. This is the first podcast I would have done. So I'm really excited because I feel like my audience hasn't really heard me speak too much. And this is really where my heart is. So the fact that you brought me on gives me an opportunity to share that.
Absolutely. Happy to have you. Final question of the podcast is, what does it mean to live a fulfilling life?
Dang. You really saved
the big one.
You might hate me for this one.
Me personally?
But I've already answered this.
Okay.
I think to live a fulfilling life is to love well with future generations in mind. I think you make the most of the life that you live by loving others well, by being grateful, by realizing the opportunities that are at hand for you, by maximizing them, because that's God's heart for you, just his best, right? And doing so with understanding that there are going to be future generations under you and people who are going to be impacted and people you're going to have to teach, like your kids and then your kids' kids, and then also like your little cousins or the girls that see you on the street or whatever it is, future generations. You're an example. So if God's given you a vision, you have to keep your promise to it and just lead a life where every day you'll live in purpose, and then it'll just flow into your ultimate purpose. So
love it.
Yeah.
Shannon, where can people connect with you on the internet? Where do you want to send them? How can they say hello?
They can say hello on my Instagram at Shannon SHUI, or go check out my card game at Heart Check Me on Instagram. And my card game is something that's really important to me. So I hope you guys check that out.
Awesome. Well, those links will be in the show notes. Go say what's up to Shannon. Say hello. Check out our card game. See you next time.
Do it.
Bye. That was the episode. You just listened to it. Shannon, bringing the heat. There's actually a lesson that I learned from Shannon off recording that has stuck with me. We were walking to get lunch, and there was these guys dishing out CDs, trying to sling their music. And I said to her, I always want to acknowledge these guys, but I don't want to get wrapped up in a conversation where I don't have the time for. And she said, why don't you just say that? Why don't you express that? And so since then, I've been practicing it, and it's done wonders. So whenever I walk by someone that I want to acknowledge, hey, I see you, you're slinging CDs, but I don't have time, and I want you to know that I have this respect for you. I obviously word it in a better way, but just opening the door to that honest way of communicating quickly without having to hit somebody with a hard or difficult rejection, just doing it with kindness, that has really stuck with me. So that's a lesson that I've taken with me. But hey, the episode's over. You're not getting any more lessons outside of that. What you're here for is the answer to the riddle of the week. Why can't a leopard hide? because they're always spotted. Ooh, they're terrible at hide and seek. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to leave a 5-star review and share this with a friend. Your 5-star review goes a long way. I would be very appreciative if you did. Stay gritty, get after it, stay disciplined, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye!